But that has nothing to do with open source. Open source is completely different. It's like how Chromium and
Yeah, well, you can keep adding to the program like when it comes out.
like
you write it.
Chromium is open source.
It's like Wikipedia, right?
Yeah.
Except with coding. So
and they were the best.
Yeah.
And now everything is based on it.
actually-
all the other browsers are based
I actually
on
don't like that fact because I don't like how Chromium will like it. I noticed that it opens the process in the task manager a million times,
it. Right.
and it's like not lightweight.
Like one for every tab and
Why?
plugin. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it just me, or is Chromium not lightweight at all? I find that it's taxing, and it's like making other things slow when I'm using it. It's really weird.
I don't know.
Or is it the fact
a bit?
that websites are bigger now than before? You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
have more content.
that could be it. That could be it.
I can't
'cause
decide.
It is faster than Firefox. It
Yeah.
uses less CPU than Firefox, and
Firecook.
it used to
Who
use less
uses that
RAM.
anymore?
Yeah,
Who uses Firefox anymore?
I do. But
You do? You don't use Vivaldi? I still
well, I
use
do.
it entirely.
I do use Vivaldi.
Oh.
I just use both sometimes.
I find that Vivaldi, now and then, will have a problem.
Yeah.
Like where it can't, for some reason, I'll click a link and it just won't go.
Yeah, that's my point.
You notice that? Yeah, I thought that was just me or something.
It's
but-
imperfect right now.
So I just go back. If I use Vivaldi, and then if something absolutely it's just not working, I open the link in Opera.
Mhm.
And even Opera is something that's probably not even as good as Firefox right now. So I don't. It's just because I didn't bother installing Firefox, so I just use Opera because it's sitting there. But yeah, what I mean with open source platforms like that is just to host something on there and then not have any property right on it, so you can actually just download it, the source code.
Yeah.
They're already kind of doing that a little bit because they have programs on there now. Like it's not just games on Steam, right?
Oh yeah.
They should actually just make it so you can like re-host that program when you wrote something into it, which is weird.
But then it just becomes an app store.
I know. I don't know what to
Like,
do.
it's literally an app store.
Yeah, but it's whatever people buy most is
But
what my
that's-
store would be. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what I would want it to be. It's whatever the customers want.
But yeah, you can't just rely on open source software completely because it's,
Well, no, you're not. You're just saying I don't care if it's open source or not.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's just saying like you can
That-
host whatever you want.
That's open though. Like
I know it's open, but it's not saying you can't be not open on this thing with your
can't be-
program.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a yard sale.
Wait.
You know, some people at yard sales will actually sell new things. You ever notice that? And some people
Oh,
at
yeah.
a yard sale will actually sell burnt CDs. I saw it before. That's pretty weird.
That is weird.
It's pretty skanky. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I picked it up before. I was
Scuzzy.
like, what is this? It's the burnt CD for $1.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Just sell me a blank one.
Best thing about yard sales is trying to discern the person's lifestyle based on the merchandise.
Based on their merch.
Yeah.
Based on what I'm selling. What you buying.
The best yard sales are
Like in my basement.
no, they're just cloaked men with all their goods like inside their jacket. Yeah.
Do people do that in other countries? Like you go to the market.
I'm sure-
Like you know how like what I was talking about before with this
Yeah.
store like this. It's kind of like that in other countries. Like you go to Hong Kong, and it's like people are selling fish just on the road, and there's like right beside it is a McDonald's.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on? Who's who? It's blurring the line between person and company. It's just weird, right? Like, they should, like, just do that in town. Like, you should be able to go to Walmart, and, people should be trying to, like, pull you out of the aisle with their, like, grab your arm, what you buying? And saying, he opens up his jacket, this big leather jacket, and he's got the same products that are on the shelf, but cheaper.
Yeah.
Why not? Why contain it?
It's like you turn the corner and there's another guy selling poisons. And
Yeah, at Walmart, there's a Chinese
Rare
man selling a
mushrooms.
gigantic bluefin tuna that he caught himself.
uh-huh.
He's like hanging up there and it's dripping his blood everywhere. Best fish. Buy now. Best.
Like I imagine that eventually selling computer hardware will be so obscure that it'll just become like that. Like they won't like they don't sell computer hardware in stores anymore. In the future, they won't sell them. Well, legally, period. They'll
Well,
just be people
yeah. If you,
at booths, like sitting in the street.
If you go down the route of 100% proprietary hardware and proprietary access stuff, you'll get to that. Like, everything is illegal.
Yeah.
And they were just like, because the company was big enough to ask the government, can you make everything else that we're not doing illegal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Why contain it? And then they're just like, okay. And then, so it's like, there's cars like that now. I saw a picture of somebody's car.
Apple did that already.
I know Apple's doing it. Like,
No, like Apple did that since the beginning.
Yeah.
They made their own proprietary computers,
People
and people
bought
made
it.
people made Apple clones,
Yeah.
and they were illegal.
yeah.
They were pretty much illegal.
I saw a picture of somebody's car where they lifted up the hood, and you couldn't see anything. It was a black plastic dome over all the parts, and you weren't allowed to open it, or you'd void it.
Oh yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
they couldn't, like, it's one thing to say, if you tried to fix your car on your own, we're not going to fix it for you.
Yeah.
It's another thing to say, you're not allowed to see it. It's
Yeah.
like I got a black, there's no point in lifting up the hood, it's just another hood.
Mhm.
It's the weirdest thing, like, that's proprietary access world. But eventually those things fail, and even like Apple, you'll eventually just start using USB instead of some strange proprietary thing,
Yeah.
which I think they used to do. I'm glad that's gone. But I'm
Yeah.
not glad about USB things getting smaller and smaller. That's got to stop.
Well, the
I can't
first
see it anymore. Eventually I'm going to inhale the next USB socket.
I heard the first few generations of iPod would only work on Macs. It's like,
Yeah, see,
let's
that
just limit ourselves.
that
for no
ended
reason.
because it sucked dick.
Who?
And thankfully people just voted with their wallet and were
Like, what's
you know
the
what?
idea?
That's bad.
What's the idea there? That someone's
don't
gonna
know.
buy a Macintosh computer so they can
I don't
use an
know.
iPod?
I don't know. They have the right to do it, but they also have the right to lose money. You know?
Maybe they just decided to lose money.
I don't know.
Maybe they decided, like they just love, like, forcing people to use their
Well, yeah,
equipment.
that was Steve Jobs, and he was
Uh-huh.
notoriously a strange
Yeah.
guy. Like he did all kinds of strange things
So maybe he
in his
just-
secret life, and he also hated video games.
Oh really?
Yeah, and he was
Huh.
He always tried to make
That
sure.
explains it then.
He always tried to make sure video game things never got on Apple products.
Never heard
Somehow,
of that.
like, yeah, you know, so that's what people say. Is that he just did not
Well, yeah.
like games.
Maybe
like,
Steve Jobs is just a very proud man and doesn't like he cares about like his
he-
equipment more than
I don't know.
money.
He's the George Lucas of Apple.
Yeah.
But he's dead now, so let's not talk ill of the dead, even if they're pricks.
Even if they are ill.
Let's not talk ill of the dead, even if you hate them and they're terrible and they deserve to die. So let's keep it kosher here.
Hold on, which of these guys is Black Shadow?
The top guy is Blood
Blood
Eagle or
Eagle.
something. You know that he has actually an alternate costume in Smash Brothers. Remember that, where you can put his costume on Captain Falcon in Melee. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then the guy below him, the guy on top, the guy below him now was Black Shadow. The guy who looks like Batman.
Okay.
He's literally Batman, but with horns on the side, like devil horns.
Yeah.
Actually, the next Batman movie should be Batman Racing.
Batman Racing the movie?
Yes.
I see.
It's called Batman Racing.
Yes,
where,
perfect.
Batman is like in a futuristic kart racing thing where he's the best and he's like beating the competition and
Oh, yeah.
it's completely made up on the spot.
He can't possibly lose.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Superman Tokyo Drift.
Our new film, Batman, the trading card game.
There's no trading card tie-in. It's just a movie, guys.
Always with these series, it's like how Sword Art Online, the game, is not online.
Yeah.
That must be confusing
Yeah.
for like people who don't know, and they're like, people who would buy that game based off the cover, right? Who maybe have a lot of money and was like, oh, let's try that game, some anime game, and then they'll be shocked to find out there's no online.
Yeah.
I would actually try to make the artwork on the front like explicitly say that this is not online. Like, don't buy this thinking this is online. See, I'm not Sean Murray, right?
A video
Like, I
game.
won't lie.
A video game about an anime that's about a video game just seems odd anyway.
The new, is it the new Kamen Rider? Is video game themed?
Ooh. I don't like that trend.
I don't know if it's getting localized or not, but he's
Yeah.
like got a Super Nintendo controller like embedded into his chest or something.
When it was
I
10,
think it's Kamen Rider.
when it was 10, I liked that sort of thing, and I don't anymore. And that makes me confused because no one is 10 years old right now.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
No one is a kid anymore. And 3,000 years ago, the whole world was ancient Egypt. And then there was pirates. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
there was
Um,
the 60s
yeah.
and hippies. And then there was today. There's no difference. The whole world was like
Then there was Elvis.
the whole world was Elvis at one point. Before the pyramids in ancient Egypt, the whole world was cavemen. Exactly, just like with like.
Then someone decided to build a pyramid.
When the whole world was cavemen, everybody wore yellow loincloth things with like black leopard print, and had a big club.
Yeah.
Everyone, that was what they wore.
Then somebody hit a rock just the right way, and it turned into a sphinx head. And then he was like, "Ooh, build art."
In
And then
English.
he made art. Yeah.
In the 1950s,
That's how the
everybody
Mona
was
Lisa
Elvis.
came to be.
Everyone was Elvis at one point.
Yeah. Then Elvis painted the Mona Lisa,
Yeah.
and then he shot JFK, and then
Just-
went to the moon.
You're just amalgamating everything that happened in history into like one lump.
Yeah.
Is that how they teach in school these days? Jesus.
He tried to fly to the moon a second time. when Elvis tried to fly to the moon a second time, he took a wrong turn and landed in the World Trade Center.
And then he went to war, and then he came back, and then it's today. That's history, folks.
Oh my god.
Mm.
You're second place.
That doesn't mean anything.
I know, but
that would mean something from the third lap.
It looks good. Doesn't mean anything, but it looks good. In the beginning, there was nothing. And then there was Elvis Presley. And then we landed on the moon. And today, Itchy and Scratchy gets a new character.
It's pretty much exactly how that episode went.
Yeah.
I always wondered what it would have been like to have been alive during the era when things happened, like in the 60s
Uh-huh.
and 70s, when like every day someone was going to the moon for like a period of like 5 years.
Yeah.
What was that like? Just thinking right now there's somebody going to the moon and you can like listen in and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is that? I mean, just everybody in the whole world was probably watching the moon with their telescopes and stuff.
Yeah. And Russia. Like
What?
they were just no, the world was keeping their eyes on two things. Russia and the moon.
One eye up, one eye down
Yeah.
to the ground.
Making sure that Germany doesn't Hitler again.
Doesn't Hitler it up again? Well, actually, historically speaking, after the fall of Hitler, the least Hitler country in the world was Germany.
Yeah. They're still like the most anti-Hitler
I
country.
know it's weird, but at the beginning,
No, it's not weird.
well,
It's
I don't know.
perfectly understandable.
At the beginning, well, after the end of World War II, bizarrely, it was Britain that won and Germany that lost. But Germany's economy was booming, and
Yeah.
Britain's economy failed.
Yeah.
Immediately after that point, Britain has been in basically a slump since,
Uh-huh.
and Germany's economy exploded after the end of World War II. And then now it's slumping again with Deutsche Bank being in free fall. But that's beside the point. But it was it was better to have lost the war economically, and it was better to have been hit by the bomb if you were in Hiroshima,
Oh,
because now it's great in that place. I know that's crazy to say, but there's a lot of places in the world that have not been hit by a nuclear bomb that are a lot worse than Hiroshima.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe
Well,
there's something about it.
Japan got like the VIP package from from the U.S. Like they just like their productivity tripled and all that, and it's just like
Well, productivity went so high that now no one's having any kids.
yeah,
Now they're just like, well, let's give up.
yeah.
I'm
We've
staying
mastered
home.
everything.
I'm staying home now, and my dad is ashamed of me and won't tell anyone that he has a kid. All the other Japanese businessmen think that my dad has no kids,
Yeah,
but he does. And it's me, and I haven't left the house in 3 years.
And,
he's
like-
like a 4 foot tall, bald Japanese man with a little baby face that's tiny.
yeah,
And he's very disappointed all the time.
yeah.
And he's like, he doesn't make any expressions at all, and he comes home after work at his office building where he can't get fired, and he just sits in the office all day doing nothing. He's the manager of a department with no employees. And he comes home, and he goes to the bar with his other
He works
workmates,
25 hours a day.
and he gets absolutely shit-faced on sake. And then immediately after he leaves the building, he sobers up, and then he comes home,
Yeah.
and then he does nothing, and then
Well, he plays pachinko till he sobers up. He plays a Resident Evil patchy slot until he until he sobers up.
no, he plays Disney's Frozen Patchy Slot. He doesn't know what any of it is because he doesn't speak English, but he likes it.
Uh-huh.
What's the time on that?
49 minutes. But
He plays Law and Order Special Victims Unit, Apache slot. He doesn't know what any of that is, but he likes all the flashing colors. He plays a Beach Boys Apache slot.
man, China has got to be the weirdest country out there right now. They're both good and bad in every way. Like,
Well,
it
it's-
seems.
For like a long time, Hong Kong was more or less its own country.
Oh
They
yeah.
had different rules from China and a whole bunch of
Uh-huh.
other crazy shit. And the South China Sea was basically not China for a long time because it had a completely different government system
Oh yeah.
than China. It was like 3 countries for a long time, and then
Like
They
the
They had-
government is extremely complex too.
they have a
They
habit of going into like a 100-year-long communist recession, and then
Mhm.
coming out of it and then going back into it.
Yeah.
And they got a strange government where everyone is appointed, but nobody complains or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird time had by all.
hmm
And
It's kind of like it's
I'm-
they've decided not to be communists, but they're still sort of dictatorship-ish.
I'm
They're
glad
dictatorship-esque right
I'm
now.
glad I'm not there,
Yeah.
but this place will be owned by China in 100 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take my
Well-
lumps.
Like here in Canada, Vancouver's just getting a little taste of Chinese money right now, and it's
Well, it's-
absolutely destroying them.
It's basically China. In Vancouver, there's some places that fly the Chinese communist flag.
Yeah.
Like the communist regime flag is flown
Uh-huh.
in Vancouver in some places.
It-
That's
it's
gotta be
just-
pretty freaky.
Yeah, but I mean, like rich Chinese folk are buying property over there,
Well, of course
and
they do.
it's just destroying. It's making it so expensive that no actual Canadians can live there.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's supply and demand.
It's
like-
like the biggest. It's the biggest thing happening
Yeah, I
in the
know.
country right now.
Supply and demand is dictated that there's no demand for Canadians there.
Yeah.
So they're just like, well, let's go elsewhere. Well, that's how countries are formed. Who knows? Maybe British Columbia is going to be a part of China. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I know that if you stand around and you don't protect your sovereignty long enough, another country is just going to basically take it over naturally.
Mhm.
Because nature abhors a vacuum. It's kind of like osmosis. They'll just be there, and then it'll be too late, and you'll be like, oh well.
Well, yeah, like if it ends up being owned by Chinese people,
Owned by
Who-
them slants. By them.
if the entire province ends up being owned by rich Chinese people,
Ends up being owned by rice
who
individuals.
have more money than the rest of us, and what can you do?
Well, part of that, the whole thing about China and their economy is that it's artificially inflated because their dictatorial nature lets them artificially set the price of money. So they go to their stock market and they say, okay, the price of one banknote is this, right?
Yeah.
And then they go, oh wow. So they artificially deflate money to get foreign investors to come in and convert their money, convert one of their dollar to thousands of their dollar,
Yeah.
right? So they can buy up stuff. And then once they feel like they don't want to do that anymore, they just inflate it. You can't do that in most countries because things are your Federal Reserve policy and your monetary policy is usually data driven. Like in this country and in America for the most part, it's data driven, meaning that it's based on what's going on with the stock market. So if something's failing, it's failing. If something's succeeding, it's succeeding. You can't go in and say, it's not really failing, look, and then just change the value of the money. And then everyone's like, oh, let's buy that. Oh, like that's what they do in China, right?
Yeah.
And no
It's
one can
just
do
like-
anything about it. But
It's like nothing but like it's a system that consists of shadiness.
well,
It's like
objectively speaking, they can do what they want. But
sure.
objectively speaking, you should be able to stop it. That's the objectivity is.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's not. I don't think it's as bad as you think. If you learn to accept that the golden rule, do unto others as you have them do unto you, but do it first. Right?
But
if,
see,
if you
that's
can
what I
learn
wonder.
that,
That's
then
what I
you're-
wonder a lot. Is China as bad as it seems, or as good as it seems?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. I don't really care because if they win and take over the planet, then that's just survival of the fittest, and that's normal. Uh, or B, they're not really as good as you think, and basically what they're trying to do now is get a hold of the technology for genetic cloning, so that they can clone geniuses, right, by the thousands, and educate them in segregated from society government education camps to make basically robots.
Yeah.
So there's two scenarios. One of them being that they're actually have an industrialist proliferation ideology, or B, they're actually just they're going to immediately as the technology becomes available, morality won't matter. And that's, I already said this, right? I already said the sentence, do unto others as you have them do unto you, but do it first, right? Whoever believes that will win. And if that's China, they're going to do it first, and they're going to have millions and millions of genetically engineered geniuses with 300 IQs. How do you beat that?
Well,
logically, you don't. But
is cloning geniuses even a morality issue in the first place?
I don't know. Well, that's for you to decide.
Well,
I don't know. You asked the question.
I don't
Is it good or
necessarily
bad?
think so.
I don't know because I know you can't beat it, and if something can't be beaten, is it necessarily bad? I don't think so. Necessarily.
Well, it's kind of like growing the beef in a petri dish. If you can't, it seems off, ethically, but if you can do it, then shit.
I don't think. I don't find it ethically strange to grow beef, in a petri dish, because you're basically just, it's like making a pill, right? It's completely synthetic.
Hmm.
You don't have to eat it, right?
Unless you do.
Unless if you do, but if you genetically engineer people, that's one thing. But if you genetically engineer people without any consent and with the full knowledge that you're going to own them, is a completely different thing, because that's not accepting of that person's agency, right?
So what you basically said is, where things are going, China is either going to take over the entire world or start cloning geniuses by the thousands until they do eventually take over the world.
I know, that's what I said originally. I asserted that China is going to take over this place in 100 years. And then I just explained why, right?
Alright, yeah.
So you want to know why, I'll tell you. But it's just based on observation and looking at it and just not minding either way.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm either not going to be here or...
No, people
I don't know.
People who are more savvy are going to have more control.
I want the people of the future to be more savvy, not less savvy, if you know what I mean.
But you don't want globalism either. Or do you?
No, if you think about it, remember the sentence, sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic?
Right.
Sufficiently advanced nationalism is indistinguishable from globalism. If it's sufficiently advanced, then everyone gets along with one another. And then all of a sudden it doesn't matter if it's global or not, right?
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. All you need to do is not force anyone to do anything, right? As long as you don't force another country to do anything. As far as I'm concerned, you've achieved globalism without a globalist agenda,
Right.
right? That's all there is to it. and an aggressor is aggressed upon.
But there's a big difference though. Uh, like a world ruled by one government
It's
just has
probably
one
never
ri-
going to happen.
one right and one wrong. That's a
Uh,
problem.
Yeah, but a government such as that would necessarily not have one right and one wrong, because if it was elected fairly, no one would be able to agree on something like that, right? It would be too hard to occur. Because it's already
Well, yeah.
hard enough to get anything done, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe in I believe in dystopian future sci-fi for the fun of it, and I like to think about it a lot and come up with stories and things like that. But I think it's a lot more difficult for that scenario to occur than you think.
Well, not that I think. But
Well, it doesn't matter.
yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But I mean, people are just politicians are just like frequently shitty. They just
Yeah, but,
they show their true colors as
yeah.
being normal people all the
But
time.
also, it shouldn't matter if they're shitty or not.
Yeah.
I don't care. You think about it.
No, I mean my point is like leaders are just people too.
Yeah,
So
it's just a job.
the more power they have, the stupider the decisions end up being.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's just that the stupid decisions end up being a lot more obvious because they had the power to affect you.
Yeah, right.
I've done a lot of stupid stuff.
That is what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done a ton of stupid things, but it didn't affect anyone,
Yeah.
right? It just kind of accentuates the. I gotta focus on beating this. I'm starting to not think about the game.